The most dangerous advice is you should have started earlier. Because it sounds like guidance, but it lands like a reminder. Not of what to do, but of what you didn't do. Started what exactly? Saving, investing, learning how money actually works, taking it seriously before it became serious. That's what they mean. They mean you should have opened that account sooner, put money away when it felt pointless, bought into things you didn't fully understand yet, learned the basics before life started charging you for not knowing them. And now it feels like you missed the cheap version of life. It's 2 a.m., and this is when it gets loud. Because during the day, you can ignore it. You can tell yourself you're figuring things out, that everyone moves at their own pace, that you'll start when things settle down. But nothing really settles down. Bills don't. Rent doesn't. Prices don't. Time definitely doesn't. And then you start hearing the advice again. Just invest consistently. Pay yourself first. Build good habits early. Let compound interest do the work. It all sounds simple when they say it now, but no one talks about what it feels like when you're starting late. When consistent investing feels like catching up. When paying yourself first feels like there's nothing left to pay. When building habits feels like rebuilding a life you ignored. You try to follow it anyway. You open the app, look at the numbers, and everything feels small. Too small to matter. Like you're years behind a race that already has winners. And that's when your mind starts replaying. If you had started at 18, even just a little. If you had listened when people said, "Future, you will thank you." If you had taken money seriously before it started stressing you out, where would you be now? Not rich, just stable, calm, not thinking about money every single night. That's what hurts. It's not the luxury you missed, it's the peace. Because right now, money doesn't feel like a tool. It feels like pressure, like something constantly sitting in the background, quietly deciding what you can and can't do. You start noticing it everywhere. The way you hesitate before buying something small, the way you calculate everything in your head, the way one unexpected expense can shift your entire mood. And you realize this isn't just about numbers. It's about control and how little of it you feel like you have. That's when the panic creeps in. Not loud, just a steady thought. I should have figured this out earlier. Because earlier, and it was easier. You had fewer responsibilities, less to lose, more time to recover from mistakes. Now every decision feels heavier, like it matters more than it used to. And the advice doesn't change. It's still start now, be consistent, think long term. But no one explains how to do that when your starting point feels like a disadvantage. When your long term already feels shortened. When consistency feels like pressure instead of progress. So you sit there, phone in your hand, looking at your bank balance like it's a reflection of something deeper. Not just money, but choices, time, missed chances. And it turns into something else, not just stress. Grief. Grief for the version of you who understood this earlier, who didn't ignore it, didn't delay it, didn't treat money like something distant. Because that version of you, they exist in your head, clear, put together, calm. They don't check their account with anxiety. They don't avoid thinking about the future. They don't feel this constant low-level pressure. And you hate how easy it is to imagine them because it makes your reality feel like a mistake. So you try to accept it. You tell yourself, this is where I am. This is my starting point. But it doesn't fully land because part of you is still stuck in comparison, still measuring your life against a timeline you didn't follow. And the gap feels real even if no one else can see it. Then comes the dangerous thought. What's the point now? Not in a dramatic way, just quietly. If you're already behind, if the big advantage was starting early, if time was the main factor, then what does starting now even fix? That's where people get stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because it feels like it won't matter enough. But staying here, that definitely matters. Because this feeling, this exact feeling at 2 a.m., it doesn't stay the same. It grows. Every year you delay, the gap feels wider. The regret feels heavier. The advice feels more distant. And eventually, you should have started earlier turns into, why didn't you start when you first realized? And that thought, that one hits harder. Because right now you're aware. You know what people mean. You know the basics. Spend less than you earn. Save consistently. Invest early. avoid unnecessary debt, think long-term. Simple rules, but simple doesn't mean easy. Not when you're carrying regret. Because now starting isn't just about money. It's about proving something to yourself, that you won't repeat the same pattern. And that's where the fear is. What if you do? What if this is just another moment you'll look back on and say, I knew what to do. I just didn't do it. So you hesitate. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to be afraid of failing again. And the loop continues. Thinking, planning, replaying, but not moving. And maybe that's the part no one explains. The real problem isn't that you didn't start early. It's that you keep pausing now because of it. Because every day you spend thinking about when you should have started is another day you're not starting. And that's how the regret compounds. Quietly. You don't notice it at first. But over time, it builds. And one day, this exact moment becomes the past you wish you acted in. That's the part that's hard to sit with, because it turns now into the same kind of missed chance you're already grieving. Unless something shifts. Not motivation, not a perfect plan, just a decision. That even if you're late, you stop acting like you're out of time. Because you're not out of time, you're just not early anymore. And those aren't the same thing. Early gives you advantage, time gives you possibility. You lost one, you still have the other. And maybe that's what acceptance really is. Not pretending you're on track, not convincing yourself it doesn't matter, but recognizing this is your starting point and choosing not to waste it thinking about the one you didn't take. It's 2 a.m. and nothing has changed. Your numbers are the same. Your situation is the same. Your past is definitely the same. But something feels slightly different. You're still thinking about it, still aware of the gap, still uncomfortable. But instead of replaying everything again, you pause. Not to overthink, not to plan everything out, just to do something small. You don't fix your whole life. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You just move slightly. Maybe you transfer a small amount. Maybe you finally open that account. Maybe you write down what you actually spend instead of guessing. It's almost underwhelming, like it shouldn't matter. But it does something. It interrupts the loop. For once, this moment doesn't just become another thought you revisit later. It becomes something you acted in. And it's quiet. No motivation, no big shift, just a small change that didn't exist yesterday. And for the first time, that feels different. Not better, not solved, just different. And maybe that's how it starts. Not early, not perfectly, just not the same as before.